Good afternoon, sir. This is Group 4 presenting Introduction. Have you ever wondered and questioned yourself, what is genes? What is DNA? Can these genes affect other living things? What is so-called biosafety? Is there a living organism that we can see? How far can technology wants us to see? This is some question that can be answered by this report. We want to enlighten everyone how these things related to human, especially to our human health. How technology help us to nourish, expand, and progress in combating disease throughout these years past, and what are the other worlds that made by the technology through science. Have you ever wondered why it's still hot even at night? Have you ever noticed that summer seasons took longer and longer throughout these years? That the temperature arise, and what is the reason? So as you sit back, listen and enjoy this report that are connected to your daily experiences. Objectives: to inform us how technology helps humans, especially how it helps in our health and safety. To ensure the safe handling, transport, and use of living modified organisms resulting from modern biotechnology. To know significance by everyday experiences of dramatic changes in day-to-day weather or climate. To help us innovate in using technologies to change the medical practices as we know it, having a great potential and to impact our society. To appreciate the help of technology in biology and in nanoworld. Scope of the topic: genetic modification that will be reported by Dion, Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety that will be reported by Sandoval, Nano that will be reported by Desorio, climate change that will be reported by Kalagim, Earth's movement around the sun that will be reported by Jose, Milankovitch parameters that will be reported by Arizala and Pulido, gene therapy that will be reported by Istioko, stem cell that will be reported by Terminus.
My topic to be discussed is genetic modification. First of all, let me define genetic modification. Genetic modification is the method of altering the genetic makeup of an organism, and it is also a technique to change the characteristics of a plant, animal, or microorganism by transferring a piece of DNA from one organism to a different organism. This is done through targeted removal of the desired genes from the DNA of one organism and adding them to the other organism. This has also been done indirectly for too many years by controlled or selective breeding of plants and animals. Modern biotechnology has made it easier and faster to target a specific gene for more precise alteration of the organism through recombinant deoxyribonucleic acid technology. Genetic technology is sometimes called as genetic engineering. It was pioneered in the year 1973 by two American biochemists, Stanley N. Cohen and Herbert W. Boyer, who were among the first to cut DNA into fragments, rejoin them to the different fragments, and then insert it to the new genes into an E. coli bacteria, which then reproduced. Agricultural plants are one of the most frequently cited examples of genetically modified organisms, where the sequence of interest is transferred into the microorganism, and therefore the microorganism cells then transfer the new DNA to the ordering of the plant cells. The plant cells that have been with success hunted the DNA are then adult to form a replacement plant. This can be attainable as a result of individual plant cells have a formidable capability to come out with entire plants. Some benefits of genetic engineering in agriculture are increased crop yields, reduce the cost for food or drug production, it reduces need for pesticides, it enhances nutrient composition and food quality, it has resistance to pests and disease, greater food security, and medical benefits to the world's growing population. GMOs created through genetic technologies became a neighborhood of daily life stepping into society through agriculture, medicine, research, and environmental management. However, whereas GMOs have benefited human society in many ways, some disadvantages still exist. So the assembly of GMOs remains an extremely disputed topic in several elements of the globe. But for this topic, it focuses on agricultural, which is why this the new method to save grace on crops, or does it affect the sustainable of food supplies? With today's modern technology, there was so much research on how this method will work efficiently around the world.
The Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety to the Convention on Biological Diversity is an international agreement which aims to ensure the safe handling, transport, and use of living modified organisms or LMOs, resulting from modern biotechnology that may have adverse effects on biological diversity, taking also into account risks to human life. It was adopted on January 29, 2000 and entered into force on September 11, 2003. The Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety is legally binding global protocol that seeks to contribute to ensuring the safe transfer, handling, and use of living modified organisms created through modern biotechnology. Using modern biotechnology techniques, scientists can insert, remove, or modify genes in plants, animals, and microorganisms to produce what are known as living modified organisms or LMOs. LMOs, commonly known as genetically modified organisms. GMOs can be used for many things, including food, feeds, and vaccines. Modern biotechnology has a great potential for improving human well-being. For example, by enhancing food production with high-yielding crops or preventing diseases with modified vaccines. However, LMOs could pose risks to biodiversity and human health, such as unintended harm to other organisms, evolutions of superweeds, unintended transfer of genes across organisms, allergens in food, and antibiotic resistance.
What is nano? In the International System of Units, the prefix nano means 1 billion or 10 raised negative 9. Therefore, 1 nanometer is 1 billionth of a meter. A nanometer is a billion of a meter of 0.00000000001 or 10 raised negative 9 meters. The words nano comes from the Greek words dwarf. The term nanoscales is used to refer to object with dimensions on the order of 1 to 100 nanometers nm. And nanotechnology is often described as an emerging technology, one that not only holds promise for society but also is capable of revolutionizing and approaches to common problems. And however, it is only recently that discoveries in these fields have advanced so far as to warrant examinations of their impact upon the world around us.
Have you ever heard the word climate change? Climate change is the current in a sense that it has been put under international spotlight since the start of the 21st century. Data that had been accumulated are used by the scientists to determine if there is really significant change in the Earth's climate. But what does climate change mean? Doesn't the climate always change? Climate is not similar to weather, which is constantly changing. Climate refers to a long-term patterns prevailing over given area of the planet. So, ibig sabihin, hindi siya mabilis mapalitan kagaya ng weather. It is the atmospheric condition that occurs in a place that occurs for a long period of time. Climate comes from the Greek word klimein, meaning to slope. It involves to klima, connoting a zone or region of the earth as characterized by its atmospheric condition. In ancient Greece, the orb of the sun stood at a high angle in the sky at noontime as ships sailed towards the north. In the daytime temperature of the air would get colder. Hence, the klima in the north was colder than in the south. Climate change is a change of climate which is attributed directly or indirectly to human activity that alters the composition of the global atmosphere, which is addition to natural climate variability observed over a comparable period of time. So, climate is a transformation characterized by the changes in the usual climate of the planet regarding temperature and precipitation that are caused by human activities like burning of trees, illegal logging, factories producing fuels, use of transportation that cause pollution, and the use of plastics.
Good afternoon, sir and classmates. Today, I'm going to report Earth's movement around the Sun. Now, I'll discuss the orbital motions of the Earth. First, orbit remains an ellipse. We all know that ellipse is like an oval or a circle shape. In its position, orientation in space changes over time. Of this motion, it includes the Kepler's law of motion. Of this law, Kepler's law of motion, we have three laws describe how planetary bodies orbit about the Sun. The first is planets move in elliptical orbits with the Sun as a focus. Second, cover the same area of space in the same amount of the time, no matter where it is in orbit. And lastly, the laws of motion of Kepler laws. A planet's orbital period is proportional to the size of its orbit. Due to the tilt of the Earth, the whole area does not receive an equal amount of sunlight. Dahil sa paggalaw ng ating mundo, ang buong parte nito ay hindi nakakatanggap ng sinag ng araw. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng araw at gabi. So, why we have day to night? Because the Earth orbits the Sun once every 365 days and rotates about its axis once every 24 hours. Kaya tayo nagkakaroon ng araw at gabi are due to the Earth rotating on its axis. It's not its axis. It is not its orbiting around. Orbiting around the Sun. And when we are on the side of the Earth that is facing the Sun, nagkakaroon tayo ng araw, pero as Earth continue is spin, kapag naman pupunta tayo sa kabilang side ng ating mundo, facing away from our Sun, then magkakaroon tayo ng gabi. So ngayon, define naman natin ang two types of motion ng Earth. Ito ay tinatawag na Earth revolution and Earth's movement. So, una, define muna natin yung Earth's rotation or tinatawag na spin. Is the rotation of planet's Earth around of its own axis. Ang axis na tinatanong dito ay ito yung imaginary line. Imaginary line is drawn from the North Pole to South Pole. Or kapag sa trompo, ito yung spindle or yung bako na dahilan kung bakit umiikot ang ating trompo o yung top na tinatawag. And ngayon, second, define naman natin yung Earth's revolution. Earth revolution is the movement of the Earth around or yung pag-ikot ng Earth sa ating araw. Yung parang kaya ito tinatawag na Earth's revolution. Did you know that the Earth takes a full year or 365 days for one complete revolution around or tinatawag nating isang taon around the sun? And also, the Earth takes 24 hours to complete a rotation with respect to the sun, or we called it is a one day sa isang araw. The Earth could then be imagined like a spinning type, like what I have discussed while ago, turning and wobbling its path. So gaano ba kabilis ang pag-ikot ng ating mundo sa sarili nitong axis or yung imaginary line? It is roughly 1,000 miles per hour. At kung tatayahin sa metros, the surface of the Earth at the equator, and I repeat, at kung tatayahin sa metros, the surface of the Earth at the equator moves at speed of 460 meters per second. So kapag nagro-rotate ba ang Earth, nararamdaman ba natin? The answer is no, because we are all moving with it at the same constant speed. It's you and everything else, kasali na dito ang ocean, atmosphere, mountains, are spinning along with the Earth at the same constant speed. And next, we have the different elements of interaction between the sun and the Earth. The first is the aphelion. On July 4, 2008, our planet is at the distance in a point astronomers is called aphelion. It is called farther from the sun, and all planets in our solar system travel around the sun in elliptical orbits. And second is perihelion. The word comes from the Greek words peri or near and helios or sun. It happened because Earth's orbit of the sun is slightly elliptical or it closest to the sun. And third is Earth's axial tilt. The Earth's axis of rotation is tilted by 23.5 degrees, and this tilt causes the different seasons of the year. This axial tilt of the year is the cause of seasons like summer and winter or other seasons that we experiencing in our Earth. And fourth is precession. Precession refers to any of several slow changes in an astronomical body's rotational or orbital parameters. And fifth is equinox. In other words, it is the moment at which the center of the visible sun is directly above the equator. The word equinox is derived from the Latin word equinoctium, or from the equus or equal, and nox, or we call it in Latin is genitive notis, or we call it in our country is earth or night. On the day of an equinox, daytime and nighttime are of approximately equal duration of an equinox all over the planet. Night and day are often said to be equal in length. And 6 is solstice. If as the earth rotates, half of the globe receives the sun light, while the other is bothered in shadow. Twice a year, when the tilt is most extreme with respect to the sun, one hemisphere has its longest day of the year, while the other its longest night, or we call it a precession of our Earth. And lastly is the precession of the equinox. It's a slow of rotation of the whole pattern of stars around the ecliptic axis. One revolution taking 26,000 years. This motion was discussed by Hipparchus. As you can see the picture, precession is caused by the gravitational influence of the sun and the moon acting on the Earth's equational bulge. The projection onto the sky of Earth's axis of rotation results in two notable points at opposite directions: the north and south celestial plates, or we call this north hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, or the south pole or the north pole. It has a motion of the equinox along the ecliptic or the plane of Earth's orbit, caused by the cyclic precession of Earth's axis of his.
Milankovitch parameter. Ang mga epekto ng pagbabago sa radius ng lupa ay umiikot ang pagbabago sa ikiling ng pag-ikot ng lupa at ang wobble sa spin axis, isang modelo ng simulator upang malaman ng tungkol sa mga pagbabago sa klima ng daigdig na sanhi ng mga pagkakaiba-iba sa solar na enerhiya na natanggap ng planeta sa paglipas ng mga antas na geological na oras upang maunawaan ang papel na ginagampanan ng mga parameter ng orbital obliquity, precession at eccentricity na sanhi ng mga yugto ng yelo, mga cycle ng Milankovitch sa mundo. Milutin Milankovic, Serbian mathematician, astronomer, climatologist, geophysicist, civil engineering, and popularizer of science.
Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Ako po ay natasan upang magpahayag ng impormasyon at mas mapaliwanag ito ng mas maigi about sa topic na Milankovitch parameters, na continuation lamang ng report ni John Aldrin Alizala. Ano nga ba itong Milankovitch parameters na ito? Ito naman ay yung pag-aaral ng isang Slovak meteorologist and scientist na si Milutin Milankovitch, dahil naniniwala siya na hindi sa global warming ang dahilan kaya nagbabago ang panahon sa mundo, kundi naniniwala siya na nagbabago ang panahon sa mundo ay ito ay yung distansya ng mundo sa araw. At ito ay may tatlong uri ng cycle. Una, obliquity. Obliquity, the angles of the Earth axis of rotation in the tilted as it travels around the sun is known as obliquity. Ito ay pagkilos o pag-ikot ng mundo palihis sa kanyang Earth axis or orbital axis. Ibig sabihin, habang umiikot ang mundo, nakatigilid siya. Nakatigilid siyang umiikot sa araw. Pangalawa, precession. Ano nga naman tong precession na to? Precession, as Earth rotates, it wobbles slightly upon its axis, like slightly off-center spinning toy top. Ito naman ay yung pagkilos at pag-ikot ng mundo na nangunguna or mas mabilis sa kanyang karaniwang bilis habang umiikot sa araw. Pangatlo, eccentricity. Eccentricity, Earth's annual pilgrimage around the sun, isn't perfectly circular, but it's pretty close. Ito naman yung pagkawalang ayos ng pag-ikot ng mundo around the sun. Na instead of circular ang dadaanan ng mundo, ito ay nagiging malapit. Nagiging malapit siya sa araw. Kaya ito ay nagkukos din ng climate change. At yun din ang paniniwala ni Milutin Milankovitch.
Gene therapy. For us to know gene therapy in an easier way, I should define it word by word. So let's start with gene. Gene is a type of nanoparticle that is located usually in chromosome, and that is functional unit of inheritance controlling the transmission and function of other genetic material. So, what is chromosome? Chromosomes are the structure within cells that contain a person's gene. So chromosome is a tiny particle in our cells inside our body. So what are cells? How do cells and genes interact? Cells are the basic building blocks of all living things. The human body is composed of trillions of them. Within our cells, there are thousands of genes that provides the information for the production of specific proteins and enzymes that make muscle, bones, and blood, which in turn support most of our body function, such as digestion, making energy, and growing. The next one is therapy. It is a medical treatment of impairment, injury, disease, or disorder with the use of technology. So gene therapy is experimental technique that uses genes to treat or prevent disease. It is currently being tested only for diseases that have no other cure. It is also a contribution of technology to the biology world. So gene therapy have several approaches. First, replacing a mutated gene that causes disease with a healthy copy of a gene. Second, inactivating or knocking out a mutated gene that is functioning improperly. Third, introducing a new gene in the body to help fight the disease. So gene therapy replaces a faulty gene or adds a new gene in an attempt to cure disease or improve your body's ability to fight disease. Gene therapy holds promise for treating a wide range of disease such as cancer, cystic fibrosis, heart disease, diabetes, hemophilia, and AIDS. Although gene therapy is promising treatment option of number of diseases, the technique remains risky and still under study to make sure that it will be safe and effective. Sometimes, the whole part of a gene is defected and raising from birth, or gene can change or mutated during adult life. Any of these variations can disrupt how proteins are made, which can contribute to health problems or diseases. So in other words, gene therapy is a technological medication that helps humans to improve their health or to fight disease. The next one is medicine. It is scientific and technological innovation dealing with the maintenance of health, prevention, and can also cure disease that made a breakthrough in an area of human health. Aspirin. It is an old-made medical technology that was introduced in the beginning of 21st century. This medicine affects the production of reduced inflammation and pain in affected tissues. It can also reduce the rise of body temperature. So one application of nanotechnology in medicine currently being developed involves employing nanoparticles to deliver drugs, heat, light, and other substances to specific types of cells such as cancer cells. Particles are engineered so that they are attracted to disease cells, which allows direct treatment of those cells. This technique reduces damage to healthy cells in our body and allows for earlier detection of disease. Aspirin binds to acetylserine, an amino acid used by the body to make proteins, residues in an active site of enzymes leading to reduced production of prostaglandin. In other words, medicine is made by technology. And throughout these years, medicine increased efficiency and effectiveness to help us humans in combating disease.
Okay, what we should know about stem cell treatment in the Philippines. Recent years, beauty doctors in the Philippines offering stem cell therapy as a newfound medical fountain of youth, the answer to all medical worries. According to a Filipino-American doctor, lawyer Samuel Bernal, an expert in the fields of regenerative medicine and regulatory law, said the public should take a lot of precaution, and he also said, be careful. Number 1, stem cell therapy is not a cure-all medical procedure. And he said, in an interview with the Inquirer, the goal of stem cell therapy is not a longevity anti-aging program. Stem cell therapy is actually trying to allow the body to heal itself.
So, kaya ang stem cell therapy ay hindi dapat muna gamitin. So, kaya ang mga doktor ay hindi pa inaalaw ang stem cell therapy para gamiting gamot sa mga sakit dahil ito ay hindi pa masyadong napag-aaralan o hindi pa sapat yung pag-aaral na dapat gamitin ang stem cell therapy as a cure.
Summary. Genetic modification could be a technique to vary the characteristic of the plant, animal, or microorganism by transferring a chunk of DNA from one organism to a specialized organism. This is often done through targeted removal of the specific genes from the DNA of one organism and adding them to the opposite organism. Cartagena Protocol. Protocol to Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD. CBD opened for signature in 1992 and entered into force on 29 December 1993. As far as possible and as appropriate, establish or maintain means to regulate, manage, and control the risk of biotechnology. Shall consider the need for a protocol setting out appropriate procedure in the field of the safe transfer, handling, and use of any living modified organism resulting from biotechnology. Cartagena Biosafety Protocol, CBSP, negotiated from 1996 to 2000, entered into the force in September 2003, over 100 party members as international treaty. NANO provides an ideal forum for presenting original reports of theoretical experimental nanoscience and nanotechnology research. It features timely scientific reports of new result and technical breakthrough and contains interesting review articles about recent hot issues. Climate change is a long-term change in the average weather patterns. These changes have a broad range of observed effects that are synonymous with the term. We have two Earth's movement. First, Earth spins around its axis, just as a top spins around its spindle. This spinning movement is called Earth's rotation. And at the same time that the Earth spins on its axis, it also orbits or revolves around the Sun. This movement is called revolution. This spinning of the Earth causes day to turn to night, while the full rotation or revolution of the Earth causes summer to become winter. The Earth orbits the Sun because the pull of the Sun gravity, which changes the straight line direction into a curve. Milankovitch parameters. A model simulator to learn about changes in the Earth climate caused by variation in solar energy received by the planet over geological time scales, and to understand the role of the orbit parameters, obliquity, precision, and eccentricity in causing ice age cycle, Milankovitch cycle on Earth. Gene therapy is a modern medication with use of biotechnology to help humans treat or prevent disease with the use of genes. Nanotechnology, who introduced the nanogenes, expanded through the years in the world of medicine that provide more efficiency. Stem cells are the body raw material cells which all other cells with specialized function are generated. Under the right condition in the body or laboratory, stem cells divide to form more cells called daughter cells.
And our conclusions deals with genetic modifications, Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety, Nano, Climate Change, and Earth's movements, Milankovitch parameters, gene therapy, and now about stem cells. Those genetic materials has been altered to contain a segment of DNA, establishes, maintains, and controls the risk associated with a living organism and having an adverse environment and impacts that could affect the conversations and sustainable use of biological diversity. And emerging science is expected to have a rapid and strong future development. It is projected to contribute significantly to economic growth and job creations. In how long-term pattern in a particular area, from hour to an hour, a day to a day, month to month, on each from year to year, and describes how relatively slight changes in Earth's movements affects the planet's climates. Necessary for the understanding of the science issues in the geological record, scientists and engineers must be able to control and manipulate the situations, compositions, and how can develop into the many different cells in the body during early lives and growth the ability to differentiate, and helping to considerably improve even the revolutionize many technologies in industrial sectors. They have information technology, homeland, security, medicine, transportations, energy, food safety, and environmental science, and among many others.